The campaign in Europe was well connected with the campaign in Kurdistan. And one important action was that people in Kurdistan, the affected people, they collected signatures and they handed over to the embassies of Germany, Austria and Switzerland, several thousand people. Some of them went to Ankara, to the embassies, and they met the embassies and they said, here are signatures from us. We say, if you do not cancel your export credit guarantee, and if the dam is built and we have to leave our homes, we will come to Europe, to your countries, and apply for asylum. So you are responsible that our life is distracted. Without your support, the Turkish government cannot build this big dam. They have not the capacities to build all the dam. And this was also effective. And actions like this, we did it like this. We made other demonstrations in Ankara, Istanbul before, until summer of 2009. And yes, another important crucial issue was we made some fact-finding missions. We went to the affected areas and looked what's happening. Is the Turkish government implementing the criteria, fulfill the criteria, 153 criteria, and we could prove through interviews, pictures, and what we have seen, and that let's say almost no one of the criteria have been fulfilled. Almost no one, and we wrote reports and sent it to the ECAs of Europe, to the 3 ECAs. They have established, when they approved the Ilısu project, an international committee of experts. So international and Turkish experts their aim was to look to monitor whether Turkish government is fulfilling the criteria or not. But they sit somewhere in the world, or they sit in Istanbul. They have not the opportunities to see it really. And when they go to the region, the Turkish government does everything that it seems nice, and they organize people, give them money, that they speak to them. But we said we must make our own fact-finding missions, and we published these reports, and we sent it also to the International Committee of Experts. So they have to deal with this issue, and the big European newspaper wrote about this, and then they had to accept the European government that Turkey is not fulfilling all the criteria, and there was of course the public protest and pressure, and we have these reports. And so they have accepted it. They said to Turkish government, I give you 3 months to fulfill the criteria, or 6 months. But Turkey didn't do anything, yes? Because they didn't do really. They said, okay, they say it, but the project is so important that Germany, Austria and Switzerland will not withdraw from the project. They were said, okay, we say that we will fulfill the criteria, but we will do what we want. And then in the summer of 2009, or in the spring, the pressure was so high, public pressure, that Germany, Austria and Switzerland had to accept to withdraw from the project. They had to leave the project, to cancel this export credit guarantee. And in July, officially they announced it. And it was a very important issue, the first time in the history of the Western ECAs, an approved credit guarantee has been taken back, has been cancelled. The first time in the history. It was a big success, of course, and but the project was not, let's say, finished, continued. And then everybody expected that the Turkish government will speak to the Chinese government. And they did it in the fall of 2009. A Turkish minister went to China. He spoke to the Chinese government, but the Chinese government didn't join the project with the company and ECAs. There can be different reasons. One is that there are so many protests and they didn't want to be target of the protest. The other one is that maybe China wants to have good relations with Iraq, and they hope to have more projects or so from there. On other regional interests, I don't know. And yes, and then the Turkish government some months later they announced that they have other finance. The loans will come from three Turkish companies. Two are private. One is Garanti. The other one is Akbank. Akbank calls itself as the culture bank. Yes, they support many small cultural projects in Turkey, but they give money to destroy the biggest, let's say, the cultural heritage of the state, maybe the biggest one. The contradiction, Garanti Bank claims that it is a green bank. They support many nature conservation projects, but they supported the Ilısu Dam, which destroys an ecology which is still functioning and working, the Tigris River ecosystem. So we made actions against them. We started with signature campaign, and we called the society in Turkey, Kurdistan, not to have accounts in these two banks. Some organizations in Kurdistan, they joined it. The local authority of the city of Batman or a big union, they decided not to work with them. We collect signatures, and then in another organization in Turkey, in Ankara, they did the same. And we had in February of 2010 an action day also in Europe. In 8-9 cities, we made protests in front of Akbank or Garanti Bank, or the banks which are involved in these banks, and or in the front of the Turkish embassies. This was also an important action day. Bank Track from Netherlands joined us too, and so we tried to make pressure on these banks. But the banks in Turkey, they didn't stop their engagement. They changed the CEO. They have no new criteria and so on. They claim that they will be now better, but they didn't. And we didn't continue much with this project campaign in the year of 2010. Continued, but not later, unfortunately.